Hey everybody, Dave here for the Frugal Sportsman. You might notice I've got some steel up here on the back of my truck, and that's because today I'm going to be building my own DIY tree climbing sticks. So stick around, I'm going to show you just how I do it. Guys, I need to just, before we get started in this video, just share a disclaimer with you, and that is you need to realize that climbing sticks and the use of them is inherently dangerous. And so if you modify your climbing sticks or you build your own, you do so at your own risk. So I just want to get that out of the way. And with that, now we get to the build. Okay, my design is very simple. I've got one piece of steel at 36 inches, and then my steps are going to be 12 inches wide. And what I'm going to do is use three of them. There'll be one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle. Very simple. I'm going to use a Versa-type button about 3/4 of the way down to connect the sticks to the tree with a rope system, and it's going to be pretty simple. The aluminum here is again going to be cut to make the tree claws, so I'll have that grip on each side of the tree, and we'll go from there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our steel to 36 inches. I'm going to cut 4 pieces doing that, and then I'm going to cut 12 pieces at 12 inches. And those will be our steps. Then we'll jump into the welding. Now this makes real quick work of this, and I know that not everybody here has that type of a system, and that's okay. You can use a regular hacksaw to cut these, or if you so choose, you can use a grinder with a cutoff wheel. If you're thinking these are expensive, they're not. You can get these at Harbor Freight for about 10 bucks on sale, and the grinding wheels you get 5 in a pack for I think $5.49. So it's a good alternative if you're going to be cutting a lot of steel to just use this. It makes quick. If not, use a hacksaw, or you can also use like a Sawzall with a metal cutting blade. That works real well as an alternative. Guys, one of the things you need to remember is this is a metal cutting saw. It's designed just for metal, okay? It's not a miter saw. So if you're getting the idea of putting a blade, this is also a 15-inch or a 12-inch blade, I think it is. So also, if you're thinking of just putting a 12-inch metal cutting blade on a miter saw, don't do it, because the miter saw has a higher RPM, and these blades are not made for that when it's cutting steel. So don't do it. Go with the handsaw options I gave you, or the grinder options, and make your life safe. Okay, so just wanted to throw that out for a little tip. Okay, now I'm going to cut the aluminum. From the end here, I've come in 1 5/8 inches, and that seems like a good width. And I'm going to cut those off. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 rings, and then we'll cut those in half. Well, that's one done, and 4 more to go. One of the things you can do is, I know you probably don't have access to a saw like this, so just use a reciprocating saw with a metal cutting blade and take your time. A good way to do it is to wrap a sheet of paper around it and line up all the edges of the paper, and then draw a line and just stay in that line. Keep turning it and going through it, and you'll get a nice straight cut in the end, and that's all you need. Now, one of the things is I was just short a little bit on my steel, so what I decided to do is, instead of having one stick 36 inches, I'm going to cut it down to 24, and that's going to be a stick I'll use then, like when I'm setting up trail cameras. I can put a little aider on the bottom, and it's lighter, it's quicker, I can walk around with that. I don't have to have a full-length stick, and I don't need to go up that high when I'm just putting up trail cameras. It's just so they're out of everybody's reach and unseen. So I'm going to cut this one down to 24, and then this 12-inch piece I'm going to use as a step on that stick as well. Now, I realize by now that you're thinking this is going to involve some welding, and it is, and those are 2 welders that I have access to, and I do have a background as a pipe welder, so I do have the skill set to weld these and feel safe about it. But if you don't feel safe about it, or you don't have access to a welder, one of the things you can do is take this to a professional welder. With the pieces already cut, it should take him probably an hour to weld it all up for you, and you can price around to try and get the best price, but it's also possible you have a friend who has a skill set that could do it for you as well. So anyway, just a couple of thoughts on that. Okay, we need to deburr the ends of all these pieces. As you can see, they're pretty rough. You're going to catch your foot on them, get cut on them. So one of the things we want to do is take all those rough edges off both ends and on all the pieces, steps and the long pieces. Okay, now that deburring is done, the layout for our steps is really easy. We're going to put one right here in the middle. We're going to come down about a ½ inch from the top and put another step. We're going to come up about a ½ inch from the bottom and put another one. So what I'm going to do is then, once these are set up, I will tack them in place, and then I will weld them all four sides, across the top and under the bottom. I'll just flip them over when I do that. I'll make sure they're square, and then right about here is where we're going to attach our Versa button to do our rope modification to hold everything to the tree. And so we'll get to that in a minute. So with that, next thing I have to do is to clean all this up so I get a nice connection with my welding, and also good penetration without all this rust on there. So I'll be using either a wire wheel for that, or I'll be using a flapper disc, sanding disc, to take care of that. Okay, with one tack on there, I'll check everything again. 5 1/2 and 5 1/2, and check for square. That looks good. Okay, now I'll tack the other side. Okay, now I just got to do the bottom step and the top step. Right there. I can do the back. Here we go. Okay, I just put a cutoff wheel on this grinder because we're going to use that to cut our tree claw feet for the stand, the aluminum pieces that I have here. We're going to use that to cut them so we'll get a more accurate center, and it's a lot easier to hold it clamped to the table than it is to put it in the saw when it's this thin. And now, one of the things I wanted to just share with you was, you might be wondering on this design why I put the steps on top of the upright instead of welding it to the sides. Now, there's a couple things. A lot of times when they're welded to the side, they're angled up a little bit like this to keep your foot sliding towards the center instead of away from everything. When it's like this, it's more flat. You could have a little less or a little more opportunity, I should say, for your feet to slide off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting on after this is painted, a tape strip with some aggressive grip on here, so that it really helps to control your feet from sliding when it's wet or anything like that. And so that's what I'm going to do in place of angling them. I also like them on front here because what it does is it makes my foot come out farther from the tree and gives me more of a purchase on my foot. You know, if it was too close, I would just be on my toes like this. This way I can have a good purchase on the center of my foot like that. This laying flat on the table, all I'm going to do is take my center finder. I make sure that this is tight right here. We don't want it sloppy. And then I just place it on here like that. And then following right through the middle, I just put a pencil mark right here and one right here. Now, that will be the area that I'm going to cut. Now I want to lay out my bolt holes here and here. So how I will do that is I will adjust this so that it is on a whole number here. And this is 3. The 3 is touching the outside of the pipe. And so when I measure across, this is 7.5 here. Okay? So I know that this here is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches in diameter, outside to outside. Now what I want to do is I want to find the center of that. So if I come 1, 2 1/4 right here, all I have to do is take my square, and right here is my bolt hole mark. Now I flip it to the other side and place a mark. Now I have a perfect cross here. These are my bolts, these are my cutoffs, okay? So with that, now I can do my cuts right here and right here. So all I'm going to do is make sure that this mark is lined up off the table. And I'll just put a piece of steel in here, a piece of scrap steel, and then I'll just tighten up this clamp to hold it in place. So we're through on that. All I do is turn it around, repeat the process. So now what we've got is 2 nice pieces, 2 halves, that will grip nicely on the tree. The way it will mount is right like that. Now they have all these punched, I need to clean up all the burrs that are on these, like that, and then make them nice and smooth before I drill them out, and then we'll be ready to start bolting things together. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is this. There's going to be a bolt through this top and the bottom right here in order to connect the shoes, just like this. So that adds a ton of strength to these steps. If you are all concerned about any welds that might be put on here, you could always drill this through and put a 1/4 inch bolt through here, and that would really just beef things up and give you security, peace of mind. Okay, so that's something else you could do. It wouldn't take you very long. And there you go. Then we'll do all of them with the 3/16 bit, and then we'll switch up to a 3/8 bit. Finish it off. The pilot hole really helps, because if you try and drill straight through with a 3/8 bit, you'll get a lot of wobble. See how nice and round that hole is? That's what you want. Okay, the next step is to locate our holes in our bottom and our top steps, punch them, and get them ready for drilling. The easiest way to locate them without measuring is to just eyeball where this edge intersects this edge. So what I do is I place the straight edge right at that mark, and then I look over the top and rotate it, and I draw an X. Then I'll do one the opposite way, lining up both marks like that, drawing an X. Where the X intersects, it is the exact center. Now I just take the punch place it on that X, and that's where I'll drill my hole. I found the best way to drill these out is with the hand drill. First drill from one side and into both of these, and then flip it over and drill your other punch mark. And just repeat on the other end. So what I've done here then is run the pilot bit all the way down through and then flipped it over, come through the other side, and done the same thing with the 3/8 bit. And what you get is a nice through hole then. With the drilling done, the next phase is to bolt on the tree claws onto the climbing sticks, and I'm going to do that by getting a regular washer. I'm using a 3-inch 5/16 bolt, and I'm just going to put that washer in there. And the reason I'm using a washer is because it spans this outside to outside dimension of this thin wall tubing, and when you put pressure on it, it's going to be put on the very edges, which are the strongest part. And if I just put the bolt head on here, it could bend this inner wall, and I don't want to do that. So put a washer on this side, and then I just put the feet on the bottom and flip it over. On this side, I'm going to add a washer, and I didn't put a washer between here because I want as much contact with this rail as possible. And then I'm going to use a nylon locking nut. Okay, has a little piece of nylon here and it grips into the threads so it doesn't back off, and I'm going to use that. Now if you don't have that, you could use a slightly longer bolt and 2 nuts. You tighten the first nut down, and then once that one's tight, you go over the top with another one and tighten that one against the one that's already tightened. And so I'll just tighten this one down. When I get this close, I will use a hammer and just tap this square with the step parallel, and now I just tighten down the rest of the way. And I want to tighten this till it's good and tight, but I don't want to crush it. Okay, and that's what it looks like. That's one done. The next step is to figure out where we're going to put our Versa button on this vertical support, and I'm going to put mine 2/3 of the way up, which is 66%, so 0.66 of this total length, whether it's on the larger 3-foot stanchions or it's on this 24-inch one. So what I'm going to do now is to calculate that is I'm going to take and I'm going to put in 24, and then I'm going to multiply that times 0.66, and that gives me 15.84 inches. So 15 3/4 inches is close enough for me, and that's what we're going to do on this one. For the other one, we just calculate the same. So I measure up 15 3/4 inches and put a mark. Then I just find the center, and again I punch a hole and drill it through. I'll start with a pilot hole and then move up again to a 3/8 because I'm going to put a 5/16 in here. On this one, I'm going to go right through to the other side. So I've taken this piece of round stock I had just laying around. It's 5/8 of an inch, and I cut it about 2 inches long, so that what I can do is drill through the end here, down through, and then put with a pilot bit, and then go with a larger bit over it. Now the best way to do this is if you have a horizontal boring machine, but I don't have one, so I'm going to do it on a drill press. You can also buy these online, but I had this laying around. I'm going to try it and see how it works. First, we start by putting a center punch mark right here in the exact center on the end. Then we'll clamp it in the drill press and drill it through. And for the final bit, I'll be using a 7/32, which is a 32nd over 5/16. So it just gives me a little clearance. Okay, now it's time to put in our Versa buttons. And so on the longer sticks, they're 3 feet, so that's easy enough. We just measure up 24 inches and drill our hole, pilot and then a regular hole. Then I'm using these 2" by 5/16 and slide a fender washer on here. Then we take and put a spacer on that we made. These are 3/8. And then we just slide it down through here. Flip it over. Put a washer on. And we'll put a locking nut on then. That's what our button looks like. I used a 3/8 fender washer just so it'd be a little larger for the rope. I'm going to be using a knockoff 1/4" am steel or winch rope. It's rated for 7,700 pounds. Put a loop on there and I'll show you how that connects later. So I start off doing the painting using this flat black quick color from Home Depot. It's 99 cents. And all this really does is this flat color just cuts down the shine. As you can see how shiny this aluminum is, and right here you can see the gleam off of this. We just want to make sure that that's dulled up, because we don't want that reflecting out there while we're hunting. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to hit those areas. I did the backs, now I'm going to flip the fronts, and we're going to just go through, and we're going to just give it one coat solid, and then I'm going to show you how to add detail and accents to blend it in better. After I get the black paint on, what I'm going to do is just paint some shadowing like this with this dark gray. Just to create a little phase change. Now I want to add some accent color, so I'm just going to use a bag. I stick my hand through, I crumble it up, and I'm going to give it a good shot of spray paint. Then I'll just dab it to you. After I put the splotch of the green on there, what I do then is I cut some pine branches and I just hold them against like this. You don't want to hold it right on top, you just want to mist it. It creates a little bit of a shadow. Now to fasten the sticks to the tree, what I'm using here is it's a am steel knockoff. It's called winch rope, synthetic winch rope. It's pretty much the same stuff as am steel. It's rated for 7,700 pounds. It's a 1/4", and the length of the rope that I use is about 7 feet. That covers just about any size tree that I want to climb. I have no interest in climbing really big round trees, so this fits out perfectly. Now, what I do is put a loop in one end, and for the length of this video, I won't go into how to do that. I will post a link to someone else that does a great job showing you how to put this loop in. And that loop just very easily goes right around the Versa button, just like this. And that's it. And then from there, I can fasten it to the tree. Once I get to where I'm going, I just unwrap the rope from around the stick and bring it over to the tree. And I just place the stick on the tree. I put some tension on it to hold it against the tree, and with my left hand, because I'm right-handed, I like to cinch towards my right. I bring the stick, bring the line over the stick and down through, and then back underneath like this. Then I come up from the back, pull the rope forward, drop it down through that loop. and I cinch it up. Then I go underneath again, pull the rope forward, drop down through the loop, and cinch it up. Then I tuck the rope down in the cleat like that. And then it's just a matter of setting the stick like that. Now once that's set, it's pretty stable, as you can see. I'm not going to go up any higher because I don't have my lineman safety belt on, but it grips the tree. As you can see, I'm leaning out to the side and it's not slipping or moving anyway. These U cleat feet that we made really do the job of holding it fast to the tree. Then when you're ready to get down, all it is a matter of lifting up, undoing these two half hitches, which come out pretty easy. And then what I do is I bring the rope up through the rope on the back side, and then I just give it a tug to the right and it comes loose. Let me show you quick how to do that knot up close. What I do is I go over the top of the front of the stick like this, and then just tuck the rope down behind. Then I just wrap underneath, and that pretty much cinches it behind the loop. Then I go underneath and down through this loop and pull it over. Again, I go underneath, down through the loop, and pull it over. Then I tuck my line down behind the stand and into my tree cleat. And then I just set. Alright, once we wrap up for the day for the hunt, what I do is I take my rope and I go over the top, around the step, then I go back down, around the tree cleat on the bottom, I come back up, and what I do is I tuck the line behind the loop on the Versa button, and I just give it a little cinch, and that's it. It stays put. Okay? And then from there I can put the sticks together and I'll show you how they stack sideways. Okay, when I'm ready to pack things up, what I do is I just take the sticks like this and I slide them this way, and then I bring this one underneath that way, and that's it. The rope between the sticks silences everything. Once these are together, all I have to do is put a twist tie around these or a Velcro strap, and they are solid. The fact that the rope goes between each one of these really silences them, which is what I like. And then the other thing is they can just go right on my pack, or I can just put a duffel harness, duffel bag strap on here and just carry them over my shoulder. So a couple of the questions you might have about these sticks is, number one, why didn't I use aluminum when I could have put them together as well? Well, the first thing is, when I went to the scrapyard to get the materials I needed to build these, they didn't have the aluminum I wanted. And so it wouldn't have been to the design I wanted, which was what this is. And so what I did was I chose to go with the steel, even though it's heavier, because it was only 45 cents a pound. So I got 24 feet of 1-inch thin wall tubing for about 12 bucks. And the cleats, which was 4.5-inch aluminum pipe that we used, I got a foot of that for about $6. So you're looking at all the materials for this, less than the bolts and the amp steel, for about 18 bucks. When you add those in, you're looking for about around $30, $35 to build a set of 4 sticks that are not 32-inch, that like commercial sticks, but are 36-inch. And I wanted the longer sticks, and so I was able to customize them to my own needs. And so that's why I went with the steel, because it was much cheaper and also it was easier for me to weld. So now you might be concerned about weight on these. 3 of these sticks together, including the bolts and the amp steel, weigh 17.3 pounds. Now you might think, wow, that's a lot, but you know what? I'm not using these to run and gun. That's why one of the reasons I didn't need the aluminum. back a while ago, not too long ago, I had cancer really bad, and so it really messed my body up. And so I can't be going carrying a bunch of stuff back in a mile and a half, 2 miles in to set up on a secluded spot. So what I do is I'm going to set up the night before. I'll carry stuff in, I'll set up everything. I'll take down the 2 bottom sticks so nobody can steal my stuff, and I'll stash them close by, cover them up, and then I'll come back the next day and pull them out and set up my stand. And you know, each day I use that stand, I can just do the same thing. I'm not interested in running long distances, and so 17 pounds isn't a big deal to just carry it in one time. You know, I can even have somebody help me get them in. And but you know what, these are really not that bad. Each one's about 5-6 pounds, so you know, you figure 5.5 pounds. And what's great is I can just take one of these sticks to set up my trail cameras or such, but for $35 I think it's a bargain. And so I hope it was helpful to you. And you know, if you like this video, we really encourage you to take the time to subscribe to our channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell as well. And if you've got a comment about these sticks, some things that maybe you really liked, or some ideas we helped you with, we'd really like you to share them with us and encourage us. And also, if you've got some questions, please leave them down in the comments. We'd love to connect with you. So again, thanks for joining us today, and I just want to leave you with this, that creation is God's playground for you and I to enjoy. And you know, we can enjoy it a whole lot more if we know the Creator who created it. And so if you're not sure how to have a relationship with God, or even how to know Him, or how to begin to know Him, I want to encourage you to check out the books I've written. They're down below. They're free of charge. They don't require your email or any other information. They're yours there for download. And so check them out. They're in the description below. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and as always, I want you to remember that God loves you more than you could know. Take care.